Hello and welcome to Rural Vietnam. My name is Brock, and today what I want to do is give you some guidance about the prices and the costs and the expenses when you are a backpacker in Vietnam. In this video, I am in a small town near the border of Cambodia. So I made a list. These are in zero order, so bear with me. Food and drink. Basically, these prices are going to be eating out and not buying at the grocery store and preparing at your house. This is going to a cafe, going to a restaurant, and buying street food. Regular coffee or tea is usually about 10 to 12,000 dong. I have gone to places where it was 25. It was not a tourist area, it was local, but it was just a different kind of cafe, and the cafe looked kind of nice. So the prices, they kind of charge a little bit more, just like in the States or just like in your home country, you pay more for a beautiful place. So if you want to buy a single meal on the streets, it's usually right around 25,000. I have paid as low as 20, I've paid as much as 35. But in general, 25 is normal. To buy a single meal in a cheap restaurant is usually about 35. Again, it depends on where you are, depends on the beauty of the building and what kind of food, but in general, 35,000 will get you a normal meal in an average restaurant. If you want to go to an upscale restaurant, it's right around 55,000. Again, it varies. I've paid almost up to 100. It depends on what kind of meal, where you are, but in general, outside of the tourist areas, 55,000 for a nice sit-down restaurant is a normal thing. Okay, so I made it to the hostel. There was a couple other tourists there, a couple foreigners. One is Martin from Slovakia, right? Yeah, Slovakia. So I have not eaten since like 5 o'clock yesterday at night. And right now it is like 2 in the afternoon the next day. I'm so hungry. And we were walking and I stepped on someone's leftover milk. And so now my right foot is sticky and disgusting, full of milk. So this is an interesting start to a little trip here. But anyway, I'm going to show you what we are going to eat. Okay, so we got some tofu thing, tomatoes, lettuce, pile of rice. In Vietnam, you eat rice with pretty much every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner in some way, shape, and form. And then tofu. Apparently this is tofu with, do you know what kind of meat in the middle? Mystery meat. Mystery meat. So I just bought a coconut, 10,000 dong. Normally if you go anywhere and you want to buy a bottle of water, it's going to cost you about 5,000 dong. Just a side note, if you're going to the non-tourist areas like the bus stations, even though there's no tourists, the prices are like doubled, literally. You'll pay 10,000 for a small bottle of water. And this is for everything, meals, food, everything you can think of at a bus station costs more. Buying 1 can of Coke is usually about 8,000. Buying 1 bottle of Coke, even though they're the same amount, usually 12 ounces, is about 10,000. If you want to buy a beer, it's usually right around 10 to 20,000, and that's a local beer. I've paid 10,000 for a beer that was brewed at that bar, completely local, and it was 10,000. I've paid 20,000 for a local beer, not brewed by them, but like a local bottled beer. Average, I would say right around 16 to 18,000 for a local, what they call Tiger beer. That's probably one of the more famous beers. Saigon beer or Tiger beer. It's usually right around 17, 18,000 per can. If you want to buy foreign beer like Heineken, it's usually a little bit more, but honestly, I've bought it for less than $1. 20,000 is a normal thing for a Heineken. If you want to go to the local market and buy fruit, awesome, I encourage it. And it's actually, like sticks going in my ass. Fruits in general are about 40,000 per kilogram, so that's 2.2 pounds. Depends on the kind of fruit, depends on the season, has a lot of factors to it. In general, if you want to buy mangoes, if you want to buy pomegranates, whatever they kind of have, or rambutans, whatever they have at the moment, sometimes 25,000, sometimes 45,000. But the consistent average is usually 35 to 40,000 per kilogram. Some fruits are more than others. It can change from day to day. Today you can buy fruit from one person, the same fruit, and tomorrow it could be 5,000 or 10,000 more than it was yesterday. And it's not that just because you're foreign she's trying to charge you more. No, I've learned from the locals that prices do vary. It depends on supply and demand in the local area, so sometimes they just have to charge a little bit more. I've also learned that the cheapest prices are usually at night. They purchase the fruit early in the morning or something along those lines. They start selling early in the morning. They buy wholesale and then they They sell retail early in the morning. At the beginning of the morning, the prices are usually a little bit more, 5 or 10,000 more per kilogram than in the evening. Now it's considered old fruit, so the prices sometimes can be a little bit cheaper. And if you're not in the tourist areas, the world famous Vietnam banh mi is usually about 10 to 12,000. One can of condensed coffee from your local grocery store or local market is usually right around 23, 24,000 Vietnam dong. Just a note on the food, if you're coming here, obviously you're in Asia, cleanliness is a thing. If you're eating out, remember, cooking at home, you're okay. But when you go out to buy street food, or even if you go to a restaurant, the culture here is, in general, unclean by Western standards. The way they prepare the food, what they do with the food after the food is cooked. There's a lot of things that they kind of do different from us, and we would see it as contaminated or dirty. So beware, you can't control the restaurants, but what you can do is kind of look to see how they're preparing the food for the previous customer when you're out buying street food. There are some stalls who literally break all sanitation rules for everything when they prepare the food. Stay away from them. Keep your eye on it. Watch the people for a minute or two to determine if you want to buy from them. I've seen a lot of different hotels, private hotels, and you can buy them for average of about 200,000 per night. I have an audience around me right now. It's very awkward. There are nicer hotels that obviously charge more, and there's some cheaper, sketchier hotels that you might want to stay away from. Taking the public bus is relatively cheap also. I've traveled from Ho Chi Minh to different towns around the area, and basically 4 to 5 hours on a bus will set you back a whopping 100,000 to 120,000 Vietnam dong. If you want to travel within the city and take the local transit small bus, I was riding that for, it was about an hour and 25 minutes, and that was 21,000 Vietnam dong. If you take a taxi motorbike, you can ride for maybe 15-20 minutes, and they'll charge you, depending on the time of day and the traffic, it's usually right around 25,000 to 30,000 Vietnam dong. If you're in the area, be sure to download the app to your phone, Grab Bike. It's amazing. You do not get ripped off by the local taxi drivers because you use your phone app, and the app charges local prices to everyone, whether you're foreign or not. And the cool thing is you don't have to use your credit card. You just schedule someone to come, they come, when you're finished, you give them cash and you walk away. Often people, when they come to Vietnam, they will buy a cheap motorbike. Now obviously you don't have a foreign driver's license, so you're driving illegally, plus if an accident happens, what happens? Oh my god, all these things. But people still purchase a motorbike, and so basically you can buy a cheap used motorbike that may have some problems and you may have to have a mechanic fix them after a month or two, but you can buy one for like $200 US or $500 US, and after you're finished, after staying here for a couple weeks or a couple months, you can sell it to another foreigner or sell it to a local and recuperate at least some of your money back. A new t-shirt will cost you about 50,000 dong. This is usually not the most stylish shirt in the world, but it does the trick. You can also buy a nice shirt for about 250,000. You can buy a nice pair of jeans for about 300,000. You can also go to the second-hand store and purchase a used shirt, button-up shirt like you would wear to an interview, and they'll charge you maybe 25,000. You ever wonder where all your used clothing goes when you donate it to a center and walk away? I have an audience around me. It's an interesting experience. I tried to go to a very secluded area away from everyone and everything, and they see me from a mile away, and they ride their bikes all the way down here, and then they look over my shoulder and talk, and it's the craziest thing. But beware with the clothing, because the clothing is cheap. Okay, to give you an example, I went to a nice area and bought a nice shirt, not a tourist area, but I bought a nice shirt for 250,000, and that shirt, within 3 months, I actually threw it away because it stretched down so far, it was like I was wearing a mini skirt. The quality is really not that good. I'm sure there are amazing companies that do amazing work and it will last forever, but unfortunately the ones that I have purchased have not lasted very long, and I've bought a lot of clothing. Also beware of fake brands. If you come and find a brand that you actually like, beware because it's probably not real. Also, when you want to travel on a bus and go from town to town or city to city, The buses can fill up pretty quick, and so you don't just show up and say, okay, I'm here, let me go, because you're probably not going to get a ticket. I have gone from the city to a rural area where you would think nobody would go to, and you literally have to go a day or two in advance and call, either have a local friend call for you, or walk in yourself and make a booking. There's no online orders from what I've understood, so you literally have to walk into the ticket booth and purchase it yourself. If you plan on staying for a while... Really? They're copying my name tag down to find me on social media. Crazy. If you want to stay for a while, awesome. You can either stay in a hotel and find a sweet deal, maybe $10 US a day, or you can rent a local apartment. Basically, you can rent an apartment for $200 to $500 per month. Some people rent it together with another person, and it drops the costs. But in general, it's pretty cheap. You can go to different websites to find them, or you can make a friend who can help you, a local who can help you. If you use the websites, it's usually a little bit more expensive, like a couple $100 a month more expensive, because they know you bring money and they'll overcharge you. So it's better, in my opinion, if you have a local friend who can find a place for you, and that's probably the best way to do it. That's pretty much all the information I have for you. If you've been to Vietnam and you have other prices that you think would be helpful, please comment below and let everybody know. I posted it in Vietnam Dong because the US conversion changes frequently and slightly over time. Maybe you're watching this video a year later, I don't know. And so this is the current price as of December of 2017. And as of right now, 23,000 Vietnam Dong will get you $1 US. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. Thank you for watching. Remember, time is running out. Start living. Take care.